Just out here at the chicken coop, I smell an upgrade. What is it? Oh, we've wired our power over to here. We've got an Inkbird thermostat, and we've got a couple of heating mats over here in the nesting boxes just to help protect our eggs and prevent them from freezing in the super cold temperatures. If you want to see how we did that, come along for the ride. Hey now, I'm out here at the backyard chicken coop, in case you can't tell by the sounds of the little ladies here in the background. And another thing that may not be obvious is that it is winter here. This is actually really quite a nice day. It's just above freezing here this afternoon, but we have temperatures that are significantly lower than that. In fact, in a couple of days here with the rapid weather changes we have, it is going to drop down there. Now, I've got a little bit of an issue here with the coop, which is that with my current batch of hens, the ladies here like to lay their eggs, which they do in the nesting boxes here. Ooh, see? Got a couple of eggs right there. They like to do that sort of mid-morning when we are off at work, and when it is super, super cold here, that's just like a little decoy egg. The eggs tend to freeze prior to us being able to get home. I need to find a way just to sort of heat up the nesting box just a little bit so it's a little bit closer to refrigerator temperatures and we have a little bit more time before these eggs freeze. So for that, I went and purchased a few things here that are going to make this really simple. First off, I have the sweet outdoor power bar here, which is just going to help keep things nice and tidy and organized inside the coop. I'm also going to be plugging in one of my chicken cams into this as well, and that'll prevent me having to run the wire across the ceiling of the coop, which I currently do. I have this Inkbird thermostat. This is the ITC306T, and this has two heating plugs here that are going to heat up because I'm going to be heating two different areas. Setting this unit is really simple, just following the included manual. I have this all set up now for exactly how I'm going to want it to work. Going into the settings here. Now I am going to be working with Celsius because that simply works best for my purposes. Taking a look at my set point here for during the day, I've got this set at 2 degrees Celsius, which is really just a really cold refrigerator temp. That's going to help prevent the eggs from freezing in the nesting box. I have a 1 degree Celsius differential on that. You can see I'm not bothering with the calibration. I am operating with Celsius. Taking a look here, I have this set up so that the timer is going to be activated. Our second temperature setting here is -5 degrees Celsius. That's going to be during the evening. I will already have the eggs out of there, so I'm not worried about them freezing, so I'm letting it get colder than it would be otherwise. I have a 2 degree swing on that because it just doesn't really matter to me. So I have that first time starting at 7 a.m., which is just before the chickens typically lay their eggs. I have that at exactly 7 o'clock. And then our second time setting here is at 6 p.m., just like that, which is after we will have collected the eggs for the day for sure. And then I just have my current clock time here. I've also got these 25-watt heating pads here. These are actually for like fermentation and kombucha and all kinds of things like that. I think they're going to work really well in here. These are reasonably water resistant here. They're very well made and they're hopefully going to heat up that area where I want it. And finally, I just have my kit here of some R-type clamps, and that's going to keep all the wiring and everything just sort of out of the way and neatly organized. I've got the inside of the coop here. I've got sort of my main temperature and lighting control area over here. That Inkbird controller just actually powers up this heating panel, and that helps keep this from getting too cold during the winter. I also have this other power up here, and this is where I'm going to be running from. You can see right now I've got this little three-way splitter on one of those plugs. I'm going to be able to eliminate that, as well as some of this wiring that I have coming across here to such items as my chicken cam. And my first step is just going to be to place my power bar, which I'm going to have over here just underneath my little chicken cam that I've got. This is going to give me room underneath still to be able to mount my Inkbird temperature controller. Just going to carefully get this mounted here with some screws. This particular power bar did come with some plastic mounting hardware that I could have used. However, I want to make sure that this is incredibly secure just in case the chickens get a little rowdy in here. I don't want them to be able to jostle this about or anything like that. Now, for this power bar here, I do want to control exactly where the wire is going. So I'm going to have this cord run up and across the ceiling. I'm going to use these 1/4 inch R-type cables in order to secure this in place. Just like that, super simple. Right there. Now with that power bar mounted, I'm going to mount my Inkbird thermostat here. I'll put it just right below. And so the plugs here do have a mounting screw hole on the back. I'm just going to take a small screw and install it over here. Then using some of these 3/8 R-type clamps, I will secure all of the wiring here. This clamp here will also help hold those plugs in place. Hey ladies. And with this 1-inch R-clamp, I'm going to be able to secure the whole excess wire here for this thermostat. I'm also going to use one of these 3/4 inch R-clamps here, just to hold the base of this. Lots of chickens up in here right now. There, perfectly secure. I also just want to make sure that I have this temperature probe here run in a way that the wires are not going to be bothered by the chickens, and just keep them nicely out of the way. And I'm doing that with more of these 1/4 inch type R clamps. I'm at the point now where I'm ready to install these Inkbird heating mats here. I'm going to have one in each of the nesting boxes here. I'm just going to get underneath the straw so that they can heat from underneath and just be nicely safe and concealed and away from the chickens. The only trick then is also to ensure that I've got the cable or the cord here out of the way so they don't try to mess with it. Now just here in this one nesting box here, I am going to just get underneath most of the straw and the shavings, because I just want this heat to radiate up through, helping keep everything nice and warm. And with this setup, it doesn't have to be underneath everything, because I do want it to be able to send heat sort of both ways, but it'll mainly be rising up and then keeping the eggs nice and warm. Then just using my 1/4 inch R clamps, I'm going to secure this cord so that it is out of the way. Then of course I'll be securing it all the way along just to ensure that there are no issues with hanging wires or anything like that inside the coop. I've got this first heat pad just underneath the straw, just right down underneath here, and so that it's able to warm up all of the nice bedding here that the chickens make for themselves as they're laying their eggs. Here we are now with everything hooked up. So of course I've got that power bar that comes running along, and then up in here we come down. We've got the power bar itself with my Tapo camera, my little chicken cam, plugged directly into that. Then we've also got our Inkbird thermostat, and then our Inkbird Plus heating pads plugged into that. And both of those, we've got the wiring coming here out of the way and directly down. Of course, also with that temperature probe under there, just to get a decent reading up at right around egg level. So I've got this temperature probe here just buried slightly under a little bit of the straw, but it's right up around the surface here for a good temperature reading where the eggs are at. And then of course that wiring there for the second heat mat right underneath here. And one last glance at the inside here, we can see, so it is on that that first temperature setting, because we're not quite at 6 p.m. here, and we've got that 2 degrees Celsius set point. However, in this coop here, it's actually 3.6 degrees Celsius. So there is no need for this to kick on today. Our temperature is dropping quite a bit in the next couple of days though, so we'll actually get to see this in action, which is really exciting. As exciting as it can be to have very cold temperatures. This is the next day here, and taking a look on the inside, we've got, of course, 4 chickens, 4 eggs. That's fantastic. Now, this is great because they actually wound up using both of the sides here. It doesn't appear that any of this new installation with the heating has bothered them at all insofar as the wiring or anything like that. That's great. A few months later, we're ready for a mid-winter update on the success of this project. I'm quite happy with how it's worked. During the day here in the winter, a lot of days we're talking about -10 to -15 degrees Celsius, or that 5 to 15 degree Fahrenheit range. Oh, actually somebody's laying an egg right now. Now, the coop is always warmer than it is outside, but the nesting box is always the coolest part of the chicken coop, and the little heating pads there have been working really quite well. When it was getting as cold as that 5 to 15 Fahrenheit or -10 to -15 degrees Celsius, the eggs were just fine by the time I would get to them. When we did get our coldest temperatures, and we do have bouts here that are in like the -20 to -25, even -30 degrees Celsius, and that's quite a bit colder. That's like -4 to -13 degrees Fahrenheit, so super cold. The eggs didn't stand too much of a chance because it really just got too cold in there, and the eggs would freeze and crack if we didn't get them right away. But that's sort of an inevitability here with this climate. Now, in case you're wondering why I didn't film an update when it was incredibly cold outside, I didn't want to be outside. It's just way too cold. I wanted to wait for a little bit nicer weather after I'd experienced a wide range of our winter temperatures here, and yeah, now I'm out here. I can just wear my little jacket and not have my teeth chattering on camera. So there you have it, just a little experimental project to see if we could preserve more of our eggs in some of the more extreme cold weather conditions that we have here in the winter. I'm really happy with how that turned out. I think if our temperatures were consistently at the extreme end of the cold, I would need higher wattage heating pads in there, but then of course I might get nervous that it might cause a bit of an issue. The 25 watts is quite gentle and not too much of a concern. There you have it. If you are in need of keeping your eggs a little bit warmer, give this project a whirl. Let me know if you change it up at all and how it turns out for you. And either way, till next time, keep your chicken coops and your eggs and all that jazz at 11.